Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us for another Twine Hangout. My name's Joe Scarffe and I work for a company called Twine, and we bring creative people together from all over the world and help them work on inspiring, awesome projects. And I'm really excited to say that I've got on the line Jose Lopez AKA Enl1te, who's a DJ and music producer from Los Angeles. He's one half of music production duo Fabian Ordorica, and they met when they were kids and discovered their love of music early, and then their inspiration began with DJing, which led to sampling, and later led them to compose music for major artists such as Pitbull, B.O.B, Mac Miller. And then Jose, after that, branched off into a solo project as Enl1te. And I think I'm right in saying that you're now signed to Bluestone Music Publishing. Is that correct?
Yes. They're a subsidiary of Ole Music, and yes, they house Timbaland. Their corporate office is located in Toronto, Canada, and Los Angeles, and in Nashville.
Awesome, great. So yeah, welcome. Thanks so much for being part of this. Just wanted to start by talking about something just before we start broadcasting you mentioned, which is that you've had the, I suppose, luxury of being able to work all over the world as a producer, but you were saying that even if you're in Greece and the weather's amazing and there's so much culture to enjoy, you're still stuck in a studio. So I just wanted to get your view on the kind of glamorizing of being a music producer, and whether you can shed some light on what it's actually like being a freelance music producer and actually working all over the world on projects.
Yeah, definitely. So my first kind of understanding is in the 2016 world of creating music, a lot of time is spent in the studio. Now the studio can be a fancy studio in in downtown, or in your bedroom, because more often than not, I feel the world is being shifted and changed into, you're creating music on your computer and you're creating from home. Now, as you develop talent and as you develop relationships, people are going to want to have your talent and your creativity, and they're going to want to mix with that. And opportunities arise where you get to see different parts of the world. When you're a musician, that's, I feel, one of the perks is getting to go to different, if you love to travel. Personally, I love to travel. So getting on the airplane and flying, 10 hours somewhere is very exciting. Now, the funny part is you're there for a job. You're there to create something, to contribute to something, to finalize a song, a mix, to basically do what you do. And every time I'm at a different part of the world or getting to see something more, not usually for about 8 hours is a short day, 8 to 16 hours, you're in a room with other people that love music just as much as you do, and you're creating music, and you're in four walls, and you're in air condition, and you're sitting in front of this equipment. So it's nice, actually, when you're done, for the few hours, if there's any daylight, which usually there's not, you get out of that studio, you go have dinner, you talk about what you did all day, but you're not really touring. You're not really getting to see wherever you are. You're basically in a room creating. Now, for most of us that love music, that's not a problem, because you would do that anyways. The only difference is now you're doing it in another part of the world because people got to hear what you could create. I've gotten to see a lot of cool studios. Being at Timbaland studio in Virginia is awesome. You're seeing all the plaques from Justin Timberlake and the Neptunes, and I'm seeing Timbaland studio. But at the end of the day, you admire it and you have respect for it, but you're here to create your own path, to to make yourself, and to inspire the people behind you that are coming. So that's definitely been an experience. But I say it's not what they say it is. It's not, hey, steak and steak and lobster on the beach while you press some buttons. I wish it was that. No, I don't even wish it was that easy. Like, I love just sitting behind a computer with people and, trying to create feelings.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think the social part of it is really important. But I think one of the things that can be tricky for producers is when you're traveling a lot, obviously you're always working with different artists. So there's always the dynamics of working with different people, which can't always be easy. And also, just like if you're a piano player and you have to constantly get used to a different grand piano, the studio is your instrument, right? So you have to constantly get used to different instruments. How have you learned to navigate that and make the most of a brand new tool that you're not used to?
It's safe. That's a really great question. It's safe, I feel, to say that something's always going to go wrong. And I'm not a negative person. I'm very positive. I like to avoid, certain aspects of drama. But something's always going to go wrong. One cable is always going to be forgotten, a folder or something. You can back up your stuff in the cloud. You can have an extra laptop. You can make sure that you have your rack and your setup with you. But when you're in different parts of the world, you may forget the adapter that you need for when you're in Europe or versus when you're in Brazil. So I recommend to always know that something can go wrong, but it's your job as a artist, musician, producer, to be as fluid as water. And the greats that I've seen, that I've gotten to work with, they can adjust and work in any climate. And when you have that sort of strength, then you're more valuable, because when an individual starts creating, the last thing I want to do is be in a room and someone's like, I don't want to work, or, oh, they don't have this. And then now it's very expensive, especially when you're in other parts of the world, and your hotel, your studio sessions, your everything is being, everything adds up. And it's very difficult when you're trying to create and you let, little things kind of shift and adjust your whole day, where now you're not being productive. Because at the end of the day, you have to create, you have to output something. As a music producer, I'm a finisher, and being a finisher in this industry is very important. It's easy sometimes for someone to come in, they lay their vocals, or they lay their line, but at the end of the day, the individual that can finish it, whether you, from any aspect, that is a strength and a skill that you must work on. Because when you hear that finalized song on the radio, or when you're streaming something off Spotify, someone made it sound like that. Someone took it from A to Z. So it's very important that you can take that process on and make sure, if you're a composer, that you finish your compositions. If you're a drummer, you finish your drum loops. If you are a singer, you make sure your vocals are pristine and finished. And I've, from my experience, when I'm in all these studio sessions, I've had something go wrong where I learned to have my jump drive, have my samples, have my ideas, have something prepared. But it's very important for you to be fluid, because when you're working with different energies from all across the world, you have to learn a balance. You have to be a people's person. You have to learn how to relate to people. And when you're closed up, you could have the most talented people in the world, but if somebody is, creating a synergy where it's just not working, then you're not going to get anything done. So it's very important to feel energies, and not in a hippie way. I'm just saying about being a people's person. No one wants to work with an asshole. And I would rather personally work with someone that was a 7, but cool to work with, than someone that's a 10 and just a total asshole. Because I need to like you. Personally, I need to like you. I can't create this organic, authentic, song piece of song. But in today's age, I've also had experiences personally where I'm creating music through email, And that happens as well. And in that situation, I don't need to like you. I don't need to, care how you feel. And, that makes up a lot of what happens in 2016. So my advice, if you're with someone and you're working, be open, just have an open mind. But, if you're not a people's person, which you don't have to be, you can be an introvert, then I recommend the process of, having your management or yourself send your material to these artists. And then, you work through the email, which, is fine too. Because it's all different for everybody.
Right. But if you're someone like me who likes to connect with people in person, how can you recreate that through email and instant message, which is inherently very distancing and abstract and quite, and not social?
Well, some of the most important and special people that I have in my life that relationship was created online. And I feel that when I work at these song camps, I'm getting to work with people all over the world, and then you create this just magic, and now you have to transfer it over online. And not everyone, but for more often than not, people have a smartphone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, and you do have access to video conferencing and video technology. So I'm very big on video messaging, on FaceTime. I'm very big on sending video messages. I'm very big on sharing sessions. I'm very big on kind of on my iPhone, having the groups of people that are important to me, and making sure that, that's why I'm very big on video messaging, because I've had situations and sessions where, we have one camera set up where we're looking at each other, and then we're literally working on the same session via Dropbox or via Splice. And I understand that I wouldn't have the opportunity to work with this person, which you didn't have, 10 years ago, or it wasn't as available. So I just use the modern tools that we have, but just take it to a personal level where you're using this so people can, because music is emotion, music is feeling. So if someone can see the producer and see the vocalist or see the DJ or see the guitarist, if they can see that person, then it can help create a closer bond. And that can all be done via your phone or via Skype. So that's what I recommend. When you're working with these individuals, make sure they can see you. Don't be scared to, like, I do situations where I've never seen the person and I'm calling them and I'm FaceTiming them, and it's like, I've never seen this person and they're gonna see me right now, and people are like, oh my God. And that's like a new feeling. But being a creative, I'm an early adopter to technology, and I'm an early adopter to these tools that we have. And I remember I was FaceTiming people when no one was FaceTiming. And the only reason is, and it's kind of funny because I feel like these people that work at these technology companies, they create these tools that it takes, 5 years for someone to implement them in their lives. Like, I remember everybody was scared to use Twitter and give their location, or, and now it's like, it doesn't matter. So when these tools come out from these geniuses, take advantage of them and use them and get used to them and get out of your box. Because if you stay comfortable, if you stay scared, you're not going to progress, because there's individuals in our industry that are taking the chances that you're not taking. And that's why they get to where you don't get.
Exactly. And one of the artists I was interviewing recently said that if you take advantage of new technology as an early adopter, you also get the added benefit that they're going to want to push you because they want to promote their new technology. And if you're making a splash and having a positive impact and showcasing what that technology can do, then they're more likely to put you at the front page of that. So when it goes big, you've got that presence. Whereas if you join something that's already well established, you're obviously a small fish in a massive pond.
Exactly. No, that's well said. That's well said. That is well said. Take advantage of these tools. Somebody's going to take advantage of it. Why aren't you taking advantage of it? Like, it's funny, and we're lucky, especially you have a $500 phone that can do so much. It's like, why aren't you utilizing it outside of just On a side note, but kind of in relation to this, I just put up this video on my Twitter feed where I talk about, there's a great book by this MIT professor, and it's called Downloading versus Uploading. And 75% of internet activity is consumption. You know, only 25% of internet activity is creation. And it's like being an artist, whether you're a graphic designer or you are a painter, you as an artist and as a creator must create, because everyone else is consuming. And I'm guilty of just consuming. When I load up my Snapchat, when I load up my Instagram, I'm consuming other people's content, but that's not in my best interest. If I'm trying to make a splash as a DJ, as a producer, the only way I'll do that is by creating the mixes that I want people to hear and sharing my gift, versus consuming these mixes. So it's very big to create and to not consume.
That's, yeah, I think that's really interesting point. And you were saying just before we started recording that you rely on a lot of remote creatives to contribute to the Enl1te brand. How did that start, and what motivated you to begin to work with people in different pockets of the world to make the Enl1te brand happen?
Well, it's funny because being here in Los Angeles and Hollywood, we'll have interns come in from, you know, schools that are around, and you know, that was where I learned that, hey, why am I not doing this remotely? I had the opportunity. This gentleman, I believe, is the president right now currently of BMG, and his name is Zach Katz, and he was instrumental in getting my first American placement. And this man is a very smart man. He's an attorney. He's responsible, signs a lot of acts. And like I said, you can Google him, Zach Katz. And he has been a mentor to me. And he told me, he's like, Jose, he's like, you have all of these people online. How do you leverage when you work with these individuals that are fans of your music, are fans of you and your brand, outside of just, hey, buy my song, hey, follow me? And what happens is, as we all are fans of, I'm a fan myself of many things, and as we are all fans of individuals, we're willing to, because we love and have respect for their art, we're willing to contribute to their brand. So it's funny because one, I've also, my experience is, there's so many social networks, but it's like, do the one that works for you. And I get a lot of traction on my Twitter. That's where I get a lot of exposure. If I tweet something, I'm gonna get something, versus if I put something on my Snapchat or my YouTube, I'm not gonna get the same reaction. So I've learned to focus on the few networks that I'm getting a response from, an engagement. And on Twitter, individuals will DM me or mention me and say, hey, I love this. Literally, how can I help? Or, hey, I'm learning to music produce. Any advice? Or, hey, I do graphics. I made this for you. And when I started, at first, it was like, okay, let me just throw a little heart on that. And then I let that go. But sitting and meditating, I realized, like, whoa, there's someone here that I have exposure, I have experience, and I have wisdom that I've gotten over the last 10 years of being in this industry. And when I wish that at the time when I was starting off, that I had someone to mentor me, but I didn't have that luxury. Why not give back to, you're not only giving back, but you're also having a fresh eye. You know, these people that are creating, they have a different outlook, they're in a different place in life. So they're able to, one, contribute to what you're doing. Two, there's power in numbers. And then three, the person that's contributing to you can actually get something out of this, because, you know, there's nothing like a personal teacher. So I use apps like WhatsApp, and I'm creating a private chat room, and I have people, like I said, from, you know, 4 countries in this group, and then they become friends, and then they share a common interest of your brand and your music. And then it's like, hey, I got this project going on. What do you think we could do? And I've learned so much from working with these people, because You know, it's like I said, it's something new. They don't teach this. They should. I don't know if they teach this in school, but it's like, hey, meet people all over the world, find a medium where you can all talk and converse, and then work on your own schedules. And it's like when I'm working with someone in Europe, for example, it's like when I'm waking up, they're going to bed, but when I'm sleeping and they're working. So now you have this 24-hour momentum, and it's like, whoa, I can only, and all the greats, all the superstars that are on the Billboard 100 that are taking over the charts, they have a massive team, a massive team. The people that run, you know, these people's social networks, they're doing their graphics, they're scheduling their posts, they're creating their videos, they're mixing their songs. There's literally behind every major artist 50 jobs that can be done, and that are done when you're, you know, at the level of a Justin Bieber. You have 50 type of specialties that are harnessed to create this individual. Now, you know, realistically, you know, you don't have 50 people helping you, but if you find one person that can help you, that's how it starts. And then people see the momentum. And I literally built this with my small team, like I said, my management and myself, but then I branched outside of just being a music creator, and I built a team to really help facilitate my brand. And it's something that I need to concentrate on. I want to be in the studio all day, but it's not wise for me to just make music all day. It's wise for me to take, you know, make music for 4 hours instead of 8 hours, and then take those other 4 hours and then allocate 2 hours into finding individuals that want to help, and then other 2 hours into marketing. And like, that's the boring shit that people don't want to do and people don't care about, because you just want to, you know, play with 808s and play with vocals and chop up stuff on Ableton. But if you want to sustain a business, the music business, you need to separate your time, because the greats and the individuals that you look up to, they may not be doing it, but they got somebody doing it.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that the person I interviewed recently on this subject is that there are artists out there who desire being a great commercial success, but they're not going to reach that just because they don't have that style that can be molded into something that fits the corporate sphere.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think that this new freelance economy is empowering, or do you think that actually it could mean that there's just so much competition that everyone just ends up abusing everyone?
No. I definitely feel like this world economy is going to contribute to a lot more success, and I feel at some point we're going to be able to make more money in the music industry than we ever did. Now, I know I believe we're like, at one point the industry was making like 30 billion a year, and now we're like at 5 billion. So I know we have a lot of work to do, but there's so many, as I mentioned, I believe this will help us. Not everyone's supposed to be a certain thing. There's many levels of success, and not everybody wants the same thing. Some people want, you know, apples, and some people want oranges, but the landscape of the internet allows you to choose literally what you want. And there's rules that come with wanting apples and wanting oranges, but you can have that lifestyle. You can wake up and you can create music, and you can do that for a living. And you may not have a beach house with, you know, a private jet, but not everybody wants the beach house and private jets. You want groceries, you want your rent paid, you want shopping money so you can go out and buy yourself a few things. But more importantly, behind all that, you want to be able to create music all day, and you can work from home, and you can work from your laptop. The freedom of that is available to, in my opinion, a lot more individuals than there was ever. Now, there's so much happening right now that it's easy to get lost in the flow and be like, oh, I'm never gonna make it. But you have to, when everyone's going right, you have to look left, you know. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of financial success that I've obtained versus being on these artists, you know, and them selling 300,000-400,000 albums, is licensing my song in TVs and movies. So I focused a lot of my time as a music creator is developing and finding these individuals watching Game of Thrones and then waiting for the credits and then seeing music supervisor Joe Schmo, and then going on Facebook and looking up Joe Schmo, or going on Twitter and doing a search for Joe Schmo, and then finding that person, and then, hey, this is whom I am and this is what I do, and then connecting with those individuals. And there's thousands of shows that you can find music supervisors to, and trust me, uh, Justin Bieber's manager is getting contacted a lot more than the person that's programming the music for, you know, a Fox show or a show for the BBC. You know, these people aren't getting contacted as much as these big managers and big recording artists. So you're already thinking different. Or I've been working with developing a plan to contact these app developers and these app companies. You go into the app store, whether it's Google Play or it's iTunes, there's app developers there, and there's their contact information, and they need music for their apps, for their games. Why not do that? And it's like, you, at the end of the day, you want to create music. Now, as an adult, you need to learn, well, how can I do this? Versus, oh man, I need my song on Beatport. I need to have a top one song on Beatport, or I need to have my song on a number one song. It's like, yes, that's available, but you know, if you can concentrate on these mountains, then that will leave room for you to do that later. But you know, we're not taught this, so you kind of only learn through experience. And I've learned to do this by not getting my songs on major artists, by getting told no, that we're not going to choose your song. So then I had to think of other ways to be successful.
And so what are the main ways that you find these app developers and filmmakers and film producers?
Okay, so it's funny because all this information is public, but you just don't know. I mean, literally on the App Store, when you look at the app, you go to the developer's website. So if I go right now, Minesweeper or whatever that app is, it's actually owned by, I think, by Microsoft, but you go, it doesn't have to be that app, but there's 150 apps that they have the developer's website in the contact information. So then you go to the developer's website, and then you look on their website, and you're like, why? First of all, no normal person is going to go to a website of an app of a video game that they're playing. They don't care about that. But the entrepreneur is going to go to that website, and then they're going to see contact, and then they're going to even sometimes see jobs or careers. And then you hit the contact form, and then it actually will list sometimes, oh, this is the music supervisor, or oh, this is the game developer. And then you send a message, hi, my name is Joe, and I'm a music creator from, you know, from Cologne, Germany. And then you introduce yourself, and then it's like, and then they'll know who you are, because these app developers most of these app developers are getting contacted with hate. Oh, my app's not working. Oh, the update sucks. Those type of questions. They're not getting to say, hey, my name is Joe and I make electronic music, and I see that you have an electronic game. Can I submit my material? They don't get those questions. So that's already you thinking out. That's worked for me when it comes to movies, and now I'm stepping into the app world. Now, as far as film companies, I work with a PR company here in Los Angeles, and they have negotiated several situations and deals with a lot of top film companies. But there's lists out on the internet that you can get for free or that you can pay for that list the music supervisors for these film companies, you know. So there's that avenue. There's the avenue of going to the website and finding the contact information. And then there's the avenue of, you know, researching, watching the television show, because at the end of the television show, they give all the credits, and then taking those names that you find, hit pause, and then take that name and search it in Twitter, search it in Instagram, search it on Facebook. And more often than not, you'll find that person. And then not bugging them, because I hate when people bug me. You know, I block them and I hit them with spam. But, you know, creating a message and doing your research, and then sending that to that individual and hopes that they respond back. But, you know, these are just things that people aren't doing. So if you at least start doing this, you're looking to change your future.
Right.
From at least my experience.
Yeah, that's something I just wanted to touch on, actually, was how do you craft the messages so they don't seem like you just sent 1,000 mass emails to different people? but are actually trying to connect individually with that one person. And what is it about the way that you can construct a message that's going to actually form a deep connection that will make them want to hire you again and again?
Well, one, I definitely recommend a personalized message where you're taking into effect the individual's work. So if you're submitting music for Game of Thrones, you can say in that message, again, and this is just an example, you can reference the music supervisor's work and realize that, you know, they've done music for Game of Thrones, but they also have done music for the Suicide Squad, for example. So you reference that their work, so the individual know, because I'm only giving an example of what's worked on me. What works on me when I want to help an individual is when I know that they've done their research, they've given reference to something that isn't current that I've created, and that the message is, you know, that the message is not I hate being sold to. So the message is not necessary. You're not trying to sell me. You're trying to create business. Everything's cool. Everything's calm. And doesn't, I don't like desperation. Oh, help me. You know, my grandma's in the hospital and life sucks for me right now. And it's like, I get it. I'm sympathetic, but you know, you playing the guilt card isn't gonna, there's sad news and sad stories all the time, and that doesn't work for me. So playing the guilt card doesn't work for me. When you say, hey, this, I've seen you do this, this, and this is what I do, and then figuring out in that message a way that we can collaborate. I use collaboration in a big sense, and I'm not a great writer, so I've actually outsourced and had individual that is a writer, a friend of mine, and I've paid for them to look at I've created something and then had them look at it and then clean it up for me. So you're not going to have someone write you a message. You're going to write a message, and then you can look to your friends, if you're not a great writer, and have them proofread it. And I think it's very important that you have a proofread message, because most of these people that are successful, it's definitely, it can be important to them that, you know, it's not full with errors and, you know, run-on sentences, where it's clean and you're conveying your message clearly. It's almost like sales copy, but it has to be specific to the person that you're contacting. So that's why there's not really a one size fits all. So don't look at, oh, there's 150 app companies, let me contact 150 of them. No, I make this type of music, it would probably fit on 10 of these companies. Let me work on these 10 companies and spend the next 2-3 weeks trying to make that happen.
But then how do you know whether the 10 companies you're contacting are actually needing a music producer at that moment, or actually they're satisfied with either the person they work with, or they don't need a music producer for whatever project they're on? How do you ascertain that there's a demand for your skills?
Well, you know what's funny is there's a lot of services and that I actually use where I can tell when the individual opens the email. So I can send an email to anybody and I know when they open it, I know where they open it from, and I know how many times they open it. So one thing that will draw interest to me is when I send an email to someone and then I'm tracking it, and these are paid services, obviously. And then if I see an individual open up my email 10 times, then they may not, and which is funny is I've had people I work with open my email 10 times, but then don't reply back. So then I'm thinking to myself, like, what's going on? But that allows me to know, like, hey, I'm at least, something's going on here. So that's one avenue where using this technology is to see what's happening, you know, see what they're doing. And a lot of the big marketing companies, they track these emails. They know when you're opening something. So that's one way to see it. Now, to a general question of actually, before, that's why I say don't sell. A general just actually asking what's going on, and something simple as I know you do music, are asking, are you looking for music, asking, you know, what's available, because sometimes these music supervisors, you're contacting the music supervisor for Game of Thrones, but he's not going to need your music for Game of Thrones. But by you asking, hey, are you looking for music right now? He may say, not for Game of Thrones, but I'm actually looking for a new show that's just starting, and, you know, they're shooting the pilot and we actually need electronic music. So actually you can submit for that. So by you asking just general questions and kind of filling out, you'll be able to create opportunities that you didn't even know existed because you were able to communicate with the person as a human. So don't ever say, here's my Dropbox link, here's my music. A lot of it is like, hi, this is who I am, this is what I do. I noticed you do this. Are you, what are you currently working on? And this, and asking those general questions. Because if a person contacts me, a graphic designer, and they say, I do graphic this, and this. I noticed you just released a song on SoundCloud, this, and this. Do you have any new projects coming up? And then I'm like, I just released my music, so no, but I'm actually developing an artist right now, and it's R&B. So yeah, we're actually needing artwork for this artist. And then I'll do something like that.
Right. Okay. And then what do you do? Let's say you've landed that job, your dream job you've always wanted. How do you manage the process then if they don't pay on time, if they're disrespectful? What have you learned in terms of your experience of how to deal with those things to keep it professional and make sure that whatever bad terms there were during it, that's then forgotten once the project's done, so you can be hired again?
Well, it's very safe for me to say that I've been screwed over several times, and I've had money not paid to me, and I've definitely been taken advantage of. Now, to avoid that in the future, a lot of companies here, they're a fan of the invoice. So it's like, all right, invoice me. And then you invoice them, and it's like you began services, and next thing you know, your services are completed and they haven't even filled out the invoice. Now, more often than not, they will fill out the invoice, but obviously, these big companies that you're working for, you're not their only responsibility. So it's not that they don't want to pay you or they are not going to pay you. It's just that they have, 100 other things they're working on, and them working on paying you right now is not necessarily a top priority. Now, as far as creating business with people, I've noticed that I'm very, it's smart for myself to know that in the end of the day, it's business, and I may not like this person, or I may not have liked how they conducted business, but it's not going to reflect how I do my business. And there's ways that you can, manage the operation differently. You can like, for marketing services that we provide, we won't begin those marketing services until, the invoice is fulfilled. And that's stated because you're using, when you're creating anything and someone pays you for your services, more often than not, you're going to use that money to invest into their project. So if you're a record producer, you're going to have studio time. You're going to pay for musicians. You're going to pay for the software that you're going to need to make sure that they get their project done. So that's one avenue. And then obviously too, I recommend whenever you're doing work for someone to always take, it's smart to take screenshots of the work, because you'll have an individual that will want to hire you for services, and then they'll want to file a chargeback. And I've had that instance as well, where you're actually doing the work and they're just, they're operating from another place. And then you have these screenshots that you show these banks, that you show, you have a terms of service on your website. You show that you're taking care of their work, and then they'll lose the chargeback. And then you can get your money. Sad, but you have to protect yourself. It's not that you want the situation to go bad, and it's not like you're thinking negative, but you're a business, and when you're doing business every day you're dealing with new people, new customers. You're gonna need to protect yourself, and you need to be an honest businessman. So if you're gonna design someone's cover art, or you're gonna create someone a song, you need to deliver, and you need to make sure that song is good. Because a lot of my business I get is returned business. I make sure to treat my clients great, and I have a great relationship with my clients. And these clients I've had for 3 or 4 years. So for 3 or 4 years, I've been creating business with someone, and I want to keep that relationship going. So along the way, of course, I've been screwed. Of course, for thousands of dollars, but that's taught me like, hey, this is the nature of the beast, and I need to, why did I lose $1,000? And then I think about that. And you know what, if you're starting and you haven't even done business yet, prepare to know that this will happen. This will happen. Everyone that I have worked with, successful and not successful, not so much not successful because they just haven't done enough business, but everyone successful that I've worked with, we've over drinks laughed about, you know, how we got taken advantage of. And we say, okay, this is what happened. This is what I'm going to do. Take screenshots, have a terms of service, make sure that you're not, if it sounds too good to be true, that saying is very true, then it probably is. Make sure you're using a proper payment process. Here in the United States, we're big on PayPal, we're big on Stripe, things of that nature. And just know though that, you know, you have to deliver quality product, because even if you get screwed over, now you're not going to be like, oh, now I'm not going to care for my next one. You still need to be an amazing producer. You still need to be an amazing guitarist, an amazing songwriter, an amazing graphic designer. You still have to deliver great product. You can't let one bad apple ruin your tree of, you know, gifts you have.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a really good point. I think a lot of people get very disillusioned by, you know, getting beaten up through the process, and it puts them off wanting to pursue it as a career, which is a great shame. But the difficult part, I think, is that transition point when the work's done and the client wants to see it, but you don't want them to run off with it. So what do you do to protect yourself? Obviously, there's watermarking tools, etc. But is there anything else you can do to make sure the client can see you've done the work to the standard they want, but you also haven't just given it to them so they can run off?
Yes. Well, funny enough, in that respect, I do like to process a partial payment. I'm currently working with an artist now, and I haven't gotten the partial payment. And it's funny. So I haven't gotten the partial payment, and they haven't gotten their work yet, because it's just it's creative people, or myself, speaking on myself, it's like sometimes it's hard to discuss money. And I know that sounds so stupid, because in any other business you're about your business, but when, you know, to be honest with you, the best situation I've actually had is having a buffer and having a middleman. So when I'm working with a client, I have my management in between and facilitating the payment. And this is what I recommend, because if you're the graphic designer and you're doing graphics for an artist and they're talking to you, then it's easy for them to take advantage of you if they're just dealing with you. But if your name's Tim and you're doing the graphics and you have Sarah talk to the guy that's paying you, Sarah now is the middleman. Sarah now doesn't, she's not close to the art, and she's just there to collect payment. And what happens is, it's so much easier for me to get payment, and then I don't even have to deal with the artist. And now Sarah gets her percentage and she wins from the situation, and then Sarah gets all the questions and all the comments from the person that's actually creating the art. So if you're just starting, get a friend to be the middleman, and that helps so much. So you give your friend 10%, but now you don't have to work, but now that person will collect the money. And then you also have to treat it where that's just how it's done. So when they want to work with you, this is how it's done. And when you don't set that standard at the beginning, you're going to get taken advantage of. So from that, and then people say, hey, can I pay partial? No. And well, you may lose out on that client, but that's fine, because there's a client out there that will pay, and whether it's partial or full payment, but they will pay before work has been started, because it's how you conduct your business. When you have a management say, hi, my name is this, I will be processing your order, then that already feels different, versus like when you go into the restaurant and the waiter is the cook, is the one that greets you at the door, is the one that's making your chicken and then brings you to the chicken and then brings your bill. You're like, whoa, this is just too crazy. That's why in any business they have levels to it. You don't see the cook, you have the waiter. It's just, that's how business is done. You create these walls. And that's what I've done in my business, and it's worked great, because I've gotten taken advantage of, where I'm talking to the guy that's paying me and he screws me over. But now he can't, because I don't allow it.
Wow, I think that's fantastic because it just sums up exactly what Twine's about. We are the middleman that empowers artists to be able to focus on the creative work and not have to keep looking over their shoulder, worrying about being abused, because they've got that protective mechanism there to make sure that the payments go through smoothly. We use PayPal, and we're going to be introducing other payment methods, but already we've seen it, in actions, giving artists the support they need to feel safe working with clients and finding the paid work to make their careers happen. And the other thing I find really interesting is you mentioned the importance of credits and how you look through the credit sequence in Game of Thrones. One of the key parts of Twine is we have a crediting feature. When people upload a track, they can credit the music producer, the vocalist, or when they put up the music video, they can credit the director, the band, the sound engineer. And then when you look through, you can see those list of credits and then see who they've worked with. And that links you through to their portfolio. So that's the way to see all the different connections and find the creative people that you need for your projects. So it's empowering for the hirer, for any type of business that wants to find whoever did that amazing piece of music or that amazing film for that project. They can see the breakdown of who worked on it. And for the freelancer, they can see all the different creative skills. So if they need to find another designer to collaborate with, another producer, another vocalist, they can make all of that happen through Twine. So it's great to get the validation from a seasoned professional like you that there is such a need for that, because it protects the creatives and makes sure that they can have a career and don't have to be paranoid all the time about whether they're going to get paid and feel vulnerable all the time. And I think also, like you said, in no other business arena do you get someone who has to be all of these roles in one. It needs to be outsourced to other people, and that's what Twine is trying to be.
Yes, and that's why I think Twine is definitely a great service, and it can definitely help the individual that's starting by themselves and be that team that they don't have. And it's very simple, and I recommend individuals that aren't a part of Twine to sign up and just learn that there's so much opportunity out there. And it starts with trust, and I definitely know that Twine has that opportunity available for everyone. So it was wonderful speaking with you, and I'm very glad. I'm really happy I was able to give my insight. And I recommend, like I said, I recommend individuals to be a part of Twine.
Thank you. Yeah, the other important part, I don't know if you're aware of, Jose, but I just wanted to explain to everyone, is that Twine is a community of creative people. So one of the things we found about other freelance platforms is that, they do a great job, but they're not designed for creative people. They're not a community where people can check out each other's tracks and go, hey, that sounds awesome, 2/8 on that, or love the filter you used on that camera, or whatever. You can feel part of a community where you can listen to others' tracks and give feedback on work, and you can also collaborate for free. It's not all about payment. You can, every day we get people doing stuff. Like there was a guy a few weeks ago who raps in Swahili, and he worked on a track with a beat produced in Portugal, and then it was mixed in Texas. I mean, these crazy multi-country collaborations. We have stuff like that happening all the time. And they're amazing stories, but also for the artists themselves, there wasn't any money exchanged. It was just people being creative. And something we were saying before broadcast was, the importance of sometimes just collaborating for free and just being creative because it's fun. And there's nothing better than just expressing yourself. For you, Jose, how much does just working on free projects, how much of your time, is that something that become less important over time, or do you still try and carve out time to work on free stuff?
No, I definitely carve out time in my schedule for free, for someone that I believe in, for a prospect, for me looking to get an opportunity, because from my experience, you have to invest your time in, and not in every situation is there a budget associated. Sometimes, things are on spec. As you get more experience and more, I just say more insight in the industry, that realm has become less for me, where I am getting to focus more on opportunities where there's budgets already associated, but there is excitement in creating in that form. And what's funny is some of the biggest success I've ever had was in that respect, where I got with an artist, developed the EP, and then the artist gets signed to a record label. So that happens, and I definitely recommend you have time for that, and you definitely put your effort into something like that, because it does pay off. And more importantly, sometimes it's like having to look behind the wall, and you don't know where this is going to lead, and you don't know what's going to happen. But some of the best opportunities I've ever had in my life were when I didn't know what was going to happen. And that happens when you're working on projects for free. That happens. Now, there's a time, though, also where you need to draw the line and know that, hey, you know, acts of kindness don't pay the bills. So you have to set aside time for, gigs. And when you're starting off, you need to keep the lights on before, you can just work from the heart. So it's a fine balance, but you'll get better at it as you do more and more work, I say.
And then just a final question for you. There obviously are producers out there who their dream is to, work with Mac Miller or work with B.O.B. How did you go about making those connections and working with those, A-list artists? And do you think there's a formula that other producers can use for themselves to help them acquire those sort of connections to make those projects happen?
Yes. Funny enough, my management secured both of those situations for me. So one, I recommend getting a manager, and my manager, why get a manager? Because and getting a manager for the right reasons. Find someone that's passionate about your art, whether it's anything, but just find someone that's passionate about you and passionate about your art, because that allows that individual, one, to succeed as well, because they are now getting a stake in you as as a artist, as a company. But two, they're able to monitor social media. They're able to see new opportunities. Literally, for my B.O.B placement, the manager of B.O.B had put on social media, hey, looking for new tracks for B.O.B. Here's my email. So most people just want to concentrate on the artist, but you got to concentrate on the artist's team. And what happened was, my management, without me even knowing, took a few of my instrumentals and that they thought B.O.B would sound good on, and submitted to the management. And then within the next day, his manager contacted my manager, said, we love these. And us being in the industry, we were like, yeah. It's serious in the industry when they get the attorneys. That's when you know it's serious. And sure enough, within a week from that time, their attorney had contacted our attorney and drafted up paperwork. And this was done through social media, because my management had monitored and followed this person. You have to follow these people, follow the team of the guy that you want to, or the girl that you want to work with. If you want to DJ with Diplo, follow Diplo's manager. If you want to have Beyonce, if you want to write a song for Beyonce, follow Beyonce's A&R. These magnets in these industries, these people have, especially at that level, have 10 people under them. 10 people. Follow their producer, follow those people and contact those people, because those people aren't being contacted as much. Everyone's sending a message to B.O.B, hey, where do I send beats? He's not looking at that. He doesn't have time to look at that. He needs to practice his shows. He needs to be in the studio working on records. He has people, he may even have somebody controlling his social media. But their management, their booking agents, their producers, their songwriters, those people, they're gonna more often than not, they'll have 10,000 followers, or not. They have smaller fan bases because it's more niche. If you're following B.O.B's manager, it's because you're probably in the industry. You're not gonna just follow him unless you're a friend of his. Unless, again, these managers now are becoming super big and what have you. But what I'm telling you is follow the team and then monitor that team and have your management stay on that for new opportunities. Because every day, if you search, hey, looking for music, hey, I need a songwriter, they're there. The opportunities are there, but it gets lost in the crowd. It gets lost when, there's a million tweets every day, or there's, a million Instagram posts being put every day. So that's my best form of advice. Build yourself a team remotely, because it's hard sometimes to just locate the people that are so close to you. It's actually going to be easier now to build a team remotely. Then after you build a team remotely, contact them, then create a mission statement with that team. Once you created the mission statement, then find people to do the different parts of the job that you need done. You need someone to mix your records. You need someone to create cover art. You need someone to shoot videos. You need someone to book you gigs. You need someone to manage your career. You need someone to help you produce. You need someone to write your songs. That's like 10 people. Find those 10 people. It could take you 2 years. It could take you a year. It could take you 3 years. It could take you 6 months. Once you find those people, and then make sure they win. Make sure there's incentives for everybody. Don't take advantage of these people, because then what's going to happen is someone will offer them a better situation than you, and they'll leave you. Then you take care of these people, and then you grow together as a team, and then everybody wins. And then you start making money, and then next thing you know, it's like you get to quit your job, working and making 2, 3, 4K a month, because you're making that doing music, and you get to be at home or wherever you live, creating songs. And I mean, that was my goal always at the beginning, was to be able to do music full time, because I love making music. That was my dream. I could be in a lot of other industries making more money than I was making at that time, but I didn't care, because that stuff wasn't rewarding to me. I feel full as a human being when I make a song and it touches someone, or when I see someone dance, or when I see my song on a movie or a show. Like, that's very rewarding to me. So that makes me happy. So my whole vision in life is, how can I make that happen? Because, funny enough, I used to work at Girls Gone Wild, and Girls Gone Wild in America was a thing where these girls would like go on a bus, and it's just really hot chicks, and I'm a young guy, and you get to work with just hot chicks all the time, and you know what, I'll tell you, even working at Girls Gone Wild, I didn't feel the same way as when I'm sitting at the studio making fucking tracks. And I was making more money. I was making more money at that time working at Girls. So I'm around hot chicks. I'm making good money. I'm not stressing because I'm getting a check every 2 weeks. But it wasn't the same, man. I loved being at home, working on music, going to the studio, and I had less money, but it was more rewarding to me. And I want to feel fulfilled. I don't want to hate what I do every day. And that's the best piece of advice. Don't hate what you do. Now, not everybody wants to do music. Some people would be like, oh my God, I would never want to sit behind a computer all day or work with people all day. I want to be outside in the sun, and I want to do, I want to be outside. That's rewarding to me. And, that's what's beautiful about this world, is there's so many things for us to do as human beings, to occupy our time and, to contribute. So yeah, man, just do it. And it's not cliche, but figure out ways where you can do what you love. Figure out ways where you can pay the bills, and figure out and build a team. You need a team. You can't do this by yourself. You can't. I don't know anyone that literally did it by themselves. And if they did, I want to interview this person and be like, how did you do this all by yourself, without a management, without, and even if they did quote unquote do it by themselves, they still use tools developed by other people, or they used SoundCloud, or they use Spotify, or they use Twine, or they use something that someone else made to help them. Nobody does anything by themselves. Nobody.
Fantastic. You've been absolutely amazing, Jose, just absolutely awesome. I've learned so much from this, so I know guys in the Twine community will just love this. Thank you so much for all your expertise and everything. It's been great hearing your story and also just getting so much amazing advice. If you want to find Enl1te's work, go to his website at www.enl1te.com. That's Enl1te.com, or follow him on Twitter at Enl1te, or check out Mynority Music on SoundCloud. And also, if you've not been on Twine, then get on it now. It's free to join, and you just have to head to www.twine.fm, or you can check us out via our mobile apps on iPhone and iPad. Get on it now. There's over 160,000 creatives from all over the world, musicians, graphic designers, and you can build the team to get your career going, like Jose said. But thanks so much, and have a good day, guys.